Hey everybody, we all know that side-by-side sales have exploded in the last few years, and I firmly believe it is because of machines like this. That's the 2019 Yamaha Wolverine X4, and no, it's not because it's a Yamaha or how capable it is because it has 4 seats. A machine like this allows you to take your whole family out on the trail for a day of riding in relative comfort, and that was something that a lot of machines previously really didn't offer. So in this video, we're going to review this Wolverine. We're going to take it out and go for a rip on the trails. We're going to do some rock climbing on the rock pile, and then I'm going to compare this unit to its 2 main competitors, the Honda Pioneer and the Kawasaki Teryx, because I've recently had both of those machines, and what's really interesting is how all 3 manufacturers approach the rear seats. So make sure you stay tuned as we break down the Yamaha Wolverine. Of course, the transmission is a CVT. Yamaha calls it the Ultramatic CVT, and the thing that Yamaha likes to boast about is twofold. First of all, constant belt pressure, so you always have good engine braking here in the X4, and then second of all, a 10-year, that's 10, I gotta get my other hand in there, it's got my phone, 10-year belt life warranty. So if the belt in this machine breaks, Yamaha will replace it for free. That's a pretty great deal. When looking at suspension, we have a double wishbone setup in the front and in the rear, and here's a shot of the front so you can see what the suspension looks like while it works. Looking at the interior on the X4, it's totally simple. The steering wheel is nice. I do like how bolstered it is. Nothing on the wheel, which is good. You do have the tilt option, which is always appreciated. Now the rest of the interior here, like I said, dead simple. A couple of cup holders. I do like here in the center, you get this big storage console. You do get a glove box. The glove box has a partition in it. Again, another nice little feature so that you have 2 little glove box spaces, and then you get 1 little cubby down here low in the dash. Not a ton of little kind of cubbies up here in the dash, but when you look at just the glove box and then this big center console, you do have a ton of storage, especially when you add in what's out back. Now let's talk accessories. You may have noticed that this X4 has some accessories fitted to it, and I want to go over all of them and talk about whether or not they're worth it. So first of all, poly windshield is worth it all day long. I love having a windshield. One of the things I do a lot, maybe you do it too, is I throw my helmet on, I take off, I forget to put my goggles on, and then suddenly I'm, getting bugs or dirt or dust or whatever it may be in my eyes. It sucks. Having the windshield just makes it so much easier. You jump in, you go, you don't even have to think about goggles. Still a good idea to wear goggles, but that's besides the point. You can spend more on like automotive glass windshields. No, I don't need that. Same thing. Plastic roof. It is a black plastic roof, and once again, I do love having the roof. It's been a little bit rainy here the last 2 days, so even going out in the rain when it's a little bit misty or whatever, the roof does a great job. And then actually, rain aside, the sun. Right now you can see it's sunny outside, but I'm sitting here in the shade, so it's actually nice. And if you're spending a day on the trail, why wouldn't you want the sun off your head? Then the other accessory installed here are a set of rock sliders. Now I do like the rock sliders. I do think they're worth the money. If you didn't have them on there, you would actually just be rubbing directly on the rail for the cage, and of course this would do a good job against the rock as well. However, you don't really want to damage something so important as your structure, your actual cage, whereas if you put the rock slider on there, then it's taking the brunt of that damage and you don't have to worry about it. So I am good with rock sliders, especially when you try to tackle things like the rock pile. Okay, now it's time for some testing here on the latest TFL off-road obstacle, the rock pile. We still haven't done some of the modifications I want to do, so there's only really one safe line on it right now, which is the same line I took with the Honda Talon last week. Oh, cleaned your lens there. Same line I took with the Talon last week, so if you guys want to go watch the first rock pile run and see how the Talon did, you can. Now, here in the Wolverine, we'll see what happens. I have it in low for sure because I'm rock crawling. I want all that torque. I'm going to put it over into 4-wheel drive, and I'm going to put it into diff lock mode. So the X4 has a rear differential which is always locked fully locked rear, and then the front is selectable over here with the knob on the left-hand side of the wheel. So there, the diff lock is in place, and let's see if this Wolvie will climb the rocks. Okay, we're up, but I think we're sitting purely on the rock sliders. She's a little bit turtled. Oh yeah, she's big time turtled. This is why rock sliders are important. And down we come. So there you go, she definitely struggled. There's one more line here I'm gonna try, because I'd love to be able to get up and over this thing, but we'll have to see. It did a nice job climbing there though. I mean, the front diff lock is definitely working. You can feel how much heavier the steering gets actually when the diff lock is on. So this time I'm gonna go slow. Good power, nice grip. And there's my limit once again. This time I'm not on a rock slider though. But she's all slipping. It's just too steep, so that's about it for the rock pile. But at the very least, it did let me know that the front end, when it's locked, this diff definitely is working to pull you up and over stuff. There's no doubt about that. And I'm sure you guys know this, but I really don't want a roller. That's all four wheels slipping. Not happening. See you, rock pile. Now you've seen the rock sliders in action, but there's a different accessory here that I want to go in depth with. Yamaha actually included a rear storage box. They gave it to me and said, hey, do you want to install this? I said, sure. So here's the step-by-step on how to install it, and I'll talk about whether it's easy and whether it's worth it. The very first step here is actually to remove the tailgate. So there's a couple of bolts on each end. You can see the cables right there, and you get your 10mm if you can find it, and you remove the bolts. So let's go ahead and pop these bolts off, and I'll give you a close-up view with the GoPro here. Beautiful. So there you go. That's as easy as that. 2 bolts and the entire wire pops off. I'm gonna go put this in the glove box to make sure I don't lose it, and then same process on the other side. We got which one should I do first here? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm kind of just using my knee here to brace the tailgate, so when I take this one off, it doesn't fall on me. So I got nothing connecting it now. If I just do this and I lift. Oh, there's one, and there's 2. Ah, gotcha. So there's actually little posts here, and they fit on 2 other small posts that come out of the frame. But there you go. That's what it's like to take the tailgate off your X4. 4 bolts. 2 cables, and she's done. So we will tuck that into the bed of our truck over here. And now, all the hardware for this box installation was included inside the box, including this. I love this. A little bit of anti-seize, and they actually include that, which is great. So another thing I do like about the box is there's no nut and bolt combination. There's actually pre-threaded holes right here in the frame. However, you'll see these little caps right here. I'm just using my wrench because that's what I have around, but you have to pop these little caps open, there we go, to reveal the bolt heads, and then we'll actually be pulling those bolts out of there. I already got my socket here with the Allen key end on it, so now we can go ahead and remove the bolts that come in these positions, and then that will open up these holes for our new bolts. Okay, those bolts are out of there, so now the holes to accept our mounting bolts are ready. Oh, now we can go ahead and slot this guy right back in. Just like so, and look in, yep, perfect. They all line up. You thread in your 4 different positions. And these knobs are actually nice because they have a nice grip around the edge, which just means that when the day comes that you want to take this thing out of here, there should be no tools involved until it comes time to put the tailgate back on. And boom, just like that, she is installed. Now we can take a quick look at some of the functionality. So you get a couple of rubber straps which actually tighten up real nice, and one thing I really like is they add this little hole in there so you can padlock it to make sure that this box is totally locked. And then once you open it up, you do honestly have a ton of storage space in there, and once again it's nice that it can be locked and everything in that box you know is going to be secure. For access on the X4 here, you have two different spots to get to your internals. First of all, there is a hood, a couple clips, this lifts up and that pops right off, and that lets you get to your battery, your breather, your coolant. And then here's something cool that Yamaha does, this speed management key. So if you were to turn that on, and then you can take the key with you, basically the unit will be speed limited until you come back in and shut it back to off. Now this is basically a fleet option, so if you own a company and you don't want people out there speeding, you can turn it on. Of course, it's also not a bad option for parents. If you do have younger teenagers in this thing riding and you want to keep them slow, well, you can do that too. Now there's a second access port, and it's actually right back here. So there's the 4 plastic clips which I already removed to make this simple, and this entire thing pops off, and boom, there is the top end of your engine right there. So you can get in, change the spark plugs, and you know, just generally have access directly into the engine. And that is an easy access point. So when it comes to me just being in the X4 here, I fit really well. It's a bit of an upright seating position compared to some other, more, sport focused side by sides. But this thing kind of skirts that line between sport and utility, and essentially they're also trying to make sure there's enough space for your rear seat passengers, so they can't put this seat too far back, which is fair enough. And the point is that me standing at 6'2", I fit pretty nicely up here. So I have the machine in 2-wheel drive and in high, and I'm going to come around the corner and punch it. Foot to the floor! It's a little bit wet out here today, so she's sliding around a little bit. Oh man. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to say is the power off the line. When you first punch it, there's some really nice low end here, and what comes along with that low end is great acceleration. And when you're in rear wheel, when you punch it like that, you do lose the back end. It's easy to break the back end free, but here's what I really like about the Wolverine. It's something I actually like about all Yamaha side-by-sides, the steering. The steering here feels pretty heavy, really connected, really direct. It's one of the nicest steering racks that I felt in a side-by-side in a while. And I've always loved Yamaha steering. There's no settings for it. You can't make it lighter. You can't make it heavier. It just is what it is. But I've always felt as though in a sporty situation, Yamaha just has really great, like I said, direct steering, lots of feedback coming through this wheel, nice weighting, all of that stuff. Overall, it's not that much quieter than a lot of other side-by-sides. I've been driving it for the last couple days and really been thinking about this. Once you're really digging into it, no, it's not significantly quieter, but here's actually the thing. The tone of the noise is different. This engine, even at full clip, it has this kind of subdued, bassy tone to it, rather than the sort of high-pitched scream that a lot of side-by-side engines can emit. So that's the funny thing, is that like overall decibels, I don't have a decibel meter, I would guess that it's not too far off from a lot of other side-by-sides, but because of what the noise is, the actual quality of the noise, it seems like a much quieter noise, and it also just seems like a very calm, subdued, relaxed noise, which sort of adds to the character of the machine. Now let's take a look at this back seat and see how the passenger space is. So they got these little doors. They open a little bit past 90 degrees, so a nice wide opening, which is good. And let's see how I fit in here. So first of all, you do got to watch your headroom back here, although this is raked up, so it gives you more headroom. And once I'm in, I got lots, and even with the helmet, I got plenty of space there that I would fit. So there's the door closed. Now, how am I? So I got lots of knee room, which is nice. I'm not even that close to the seat in front of me. That's no issue. Shoulder room is a little bit tight. Yamaha puts these plastic things here to help protect you. I am inclined to sort of do that. Of course, that's not safe, so I'd have to ride like this. And it's not that big a deal, but my elbow would be bumping. There is one big issue though, and that is with the engine cover. Because it's so wide, my right foot has to be sort of cheated over close to my left foot, so my leg ends up resting right on that engine cover. It's not horrible. I could put up with it over a day of riding, but for a fully grown adult, it definitely makes it a little bit tight back here. But back to the positive, I definitely do like this grab handle. Great set of grab handles right here in front of you. There is just a nice amount of protection. As much as this thing is annoying, it will help to protect you from leaves or whipping branches. So you know what, I do like this back seat, but what's more important than how you fit is how this thing transforms. So let me show you that. Obviously open the tailgate. With the rear seats in play, you only get that much storage space behind them. Certainly not a lot. So here's how you convert this. First of all, you reach in from the back here. The seat bottoms flip forward, like so. Flip them both up. And then down here underneath the hand or underneath the seat, there's this little grab handle right back in here, and this is actually this rubberized handle here, so it's nice to grab. So you pull up there, you grab the handle, you lift, and then you push the whole seat forward just like that, and it slides in this track system and it pops right in. Now it can be a little frustrating to find the point where it locks in, but that's what it looks like once it's locked in. And then basically the seat back's right there, and the chair or the seat bottom is right up against it. So we do the same thing on this side. Grab the handle, lean forward, push the whole seat forward, like so. Like I said, finding this spot at the bottom where it actually latches into can be a little bit of a pain, I find. This takes me a couple tries every time, it seems. There it is, finally. And there you go. This is what it converts into, all this space. Now there's one other nifty little thing here, a little storage feature. There's actually a little secret compartment there for the seatbelt latches, because they would totally get in the way if you were loading cargo back here. And actually, when you're not using this for seatbelts, you could use it for anything else. Just a nice little sort of secret storage cubby. So we put these teeth back in, you slap that down, and boom, there you go. A nice flat load floor. Well, mostly flat. That's my biggest complaint here, is that once you're converted, you still have to deal with this track system. You know, you don't actually get a nice flat bed. So if you were to put sand, gravel, big rocks, anything like that back here, inevitably some of it or some debris off of it is going to get down in those tracks, and you're going to have to clean them out. There'll be a bit of maintenance here. So it's not exactly like some other units where your bed is separate from your passenger compartment, but it is certainly an interesting solution to the problem of how do you haul people and cargo. And you know, sometimes you need to haul people, sometimes you need to haul cargo, and the X4 can definitely do it both. So now that you've seen the cargo space, let me compare it first of all to the Kawasaki Teryx and then the Honda Pioneer 1005. I would say those are this machine's two biggest competitors. Of course you have Polaris and Can-Am, but for now we're going to keep it all Japanese manufacturers. So if you look at those three, they all approach the rear seats differently. Both Honda and Yamaha here, they have some type of modular seat that allows you to have both passenger capacity when you want it and then storage when you want it. Kawasaki does not do that. The seats in the Teryx do not fold down. They're always there. Now, I will say that in the Teryx 4, the rear seats are the biggest and most comfortable of the group, bar none. So if you're looking for passenger comfort above all else, the Teryx 4 is the right machine for you. But if you want a flexible option, you're gonna have to go Honda or Yamaha. So Honda, you can see in this clip here, the rear seats actually fold directly down into the bed. So you actually end up with this nice flat bed, which can even dump. That is pretty cool. You cannot deny the accessibility or the convenience of the dump bed. Here's the issue. The The back seats in the Pioneer suck. The 1005, they're these tiny little jump seats. They're barely big enough for an adult, and the issue is the floor is so close to you, you feel like your knees are jammed up into your chest. Here in the Yamaha, this actually feels like a totally legitimate driver's seat, or rider seat, I should say. It's nice and tall, plenty comfortable. I mentioned my space issue here, but the problem with the Yamaha here is once you convert it over into its cargo configuration, you have all those tracks and bars there, stuff that, you know, rocks or sand is going to get stuck in or caught up in. That plus the seats are still up, they're still in play. You could end up maybe damaging them, loading stuff in. They're still taking up space, so it's not as if the seats are totally removed. So yeah, the Yamaha here gives you the best seats, which can also be converted to cargo space. The Pioneer gives you the best cargo space, which can also be converted to bad seats. And then the Teryx gives you amazing seats, but very, very little cargo space. So if you add all of that up and I had to pick a rear seat, I'm gonna pick this Yamaha. It is just the least compromised in both areas. The seat is comfortable for an adult, and then you can still get plenty of cargo if you need it, or as Honda seats suck, Kawasaki has no storage. So the Yamaha skirts the line the best, right in the middle. If you're talking about the back seats, it's gotta be Wolverine. Look guys, it's obvious with the new power plant that went into this Wolverine that Yamaha is serious about the side-by-side category. And of course, after they rolled out this X4, they rolled out the 2-seat version, the X2, which has a dump bed, so it's a little more utility focused. So Yamaha is trying to spread out their footprint in the side-by-side world. And with this X4, you do have a machine that can deliver a ton of fun for the driver and 3 passengers for a whole day long. It can still store your cargo. And then best of all, if you do need some storage space in the back and you want to give up your passengers, you can get it. And I do think in the back seat, the Wolverine here has the best solution. So guys, that's it for this video. Make sure you go below, leave a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, and then come right back here to the channel for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya.